Hey guys, welcome back to Commander Replay. Today we're doing a video that's a little bit different than what we normally do. Today we're going to talk about altered art. Most of the stuff that I've done on the channel up to this point has all been on Magic Online, but I do play a number of Commander games in paper when time is permitting. One of the things I love most about playing in paper is the ability to pimp out your deck, and for me specifically, I love altered art cards. If there's ever a time where I feel like there's a little bit too much money in my bank account, I just go on eBay and type in MTG altered art, and that problem gets solved very quickly because I bid on way too many things that I probably don't even need. So I wanted to take you guys through some of the altered art cards that I picked up, and I'll give a shout out to the artists who did them, and I'll put links below to their respective eBay stores so that if you guys are interested in picking up some work from them, you can check out what they have for sale. One thing to mention before we get going is that a lot of the really good altar artists are out of the United States. When you order from them, it does take a little while for things to get through customs, and so far I haven't had any problems with that, just that it does take a few weeks typically to get something that you order from some of these artists, but sometimes you can find really good deals on cool cards that you wouldn't normally be able to find, especially if it's an altar that's in the United States, or even sometimes I'm able to find altars that are actually cheaper than a non-altered version that's actually located in the US. We'll start up here at the top. So these are all angel tokens. These were made by G&D Cards. They are located in Greece. Of all the places that I've ordered from, these probably take the longest to ship and clear customs. So there's a number of 4/4 angel tokens. There's some 3/3 angel tokens. I did want to build a Linvala the Preserver deck. I had just never actually gotten around to it. Someday I'll get there. So the 3/3s will be handy when I build Linvala. And the 4/4s are pretty standard for cards like Luminarch Ascension, Moon Silver Spear, things like that that produce angels. I'm not exactly sure what process they use on the cards, but you'll see the detail on these is amazing. I love the images on them. The only thing that I don't like is that they're actually a little bit too reflective, and sometimes when they hit the light right, it's actually hard to see the image through the sleeve. Kind of move the camera around. Seems like it's coming through okay on the camera, but sometimes definitely when you're just playing in the shop, they can be a little too blinding. I definitely like this one. I picked up a couple copies of that one. Pointing the sword right at us. A couple more over here. Thought these ones were pretty cool. And they have a ton of these. I'm pretty sure they produce a lot of work for many different card games beside Magic the Gathering. I only play Magic, so I haven't looked extensively at what else they offer, but check out G&D Cards if you're interested in some really cool tokens, and they do have some other really cool stuff floating around their shop. Next up, these are two of my favorites. This is by an eBay user named Texas Lady DD. These are both lithographs. Very cool altar for Restoration Angel, and the first card that I actually picked up from Texas Lady DD was this Baneslayer Angel with an angel fighting Nicole Bolas, which is just freaking awesome. Definitely had to pay a little bit of a premium to pick up these cards. I know Restoration Angel and Baneslayer Angel aren't all that expensive, maybe $5 to $10 for a regular version, but I definitely paid significantly more to pick up these two. But the image on them looks amazing. It is important to keep in mind that when you don't have the text box on your card, that you memorize the text of the card. On Baneslayer Angel, it's very easy to forget the protection from demons and dragons part, which does become very relevant in Commander games. I did have a light bulb moment that I was able to stave off death for a few turns. Someone was playing a Mayo the Anima deck. They were just doing basic Naya ramp with demons, dragons, and angels, and I was able to block a few more turns than I would have been able to otherwise with the Baneslayer, and it took someone else to point out that it has protection from demons and dragons, because I completely forgot about that part of the card, having this textless version in my deck. So next up, we have this 3 set of cards. This is from an eBay user named Lalico. These cards are all cool. I was able to pick them up on the cheap. I picked up this Allosaurus Rider. I had to double check the price, but I think it was only a few dollars. That was right around the time that Allosaurus Rider was starting to spike because of the combo with Eldritch Evolution. That combo never really took off in Modern, so I don't think the prices ever really held, but it's a cool card to pick up. If you're building a big butt style Commander deck, Allosaurus Rider is not a bad card. There are probably better choices, but I thought it was a cool pickup. Next we have this Odric Lunarch Marshal. You see that it has extended borders and kind of this little, almost like a hand kind of at the bottom of the card, which I thought was pretty cool. Again, this one was only a few dollars. Odric is useful in an Aurelia deck, and one thing you'll notice is most of the altars that I picked up are actually for my Aurelia deck. A lot of the other Commander decks that I built in 2011 and 2012, so they've been pretty static where I haven't really needed to buy cards for them. Aurelia was something I built in paper more recently, so because I was actually buying cards, I've made the effort and spent the extra cash to kind of get some cool pimp cards, since I needed to build the deck from scratch anyway. I don't currently have Odric in my Aurelia deck just because I'm playing a more equipment heavy build, but I'm thinking about starting a second version of Aurelia that's going to be just heavy angel tribal, in which all my little tokens will come in handy. But in a heavy creature-based version of Aurelia, Odric Lunarch Marshal is very cool. If you have Aurelia and Odric in play, at the beginning of each combat, all of your creatures gain haste, vigilance, and flying, so that's definitely a cool combo. And then finally, we have this basic mountain. Get this autofocus to work. So we have this basic mountain, full art mountain, which I just thought was super cool. I play a lot of red decks. I think I paid probably around $8 or $10 for that, so that is on the pricier side of paying for a mountain. But I thought it was totally cool. They did have a set of these for all 4 mountains from Scars of Mirrodin. Picking up all of them was a little bit out of my price range, so I ended up picking up this one, which I thought was awesome. Moving on to more lands. So, more mountains. I think I go after mountains because mountains are usually the cheapest. If you want something like islands, you got everyone and their mother going after islands, so I think mountains, a little bit easier to pick up. This mountain in the middle was done by Revelin's Light, and I absolutely love their work. I've reached out to them about getting some commission work done, so hopefully we'll be able to make that work. But I keep an eye on the auctions that they have going, and I just absolutely love the work that they do. Unfortunately, I've only been able to pick up this one card from them because the price on a lot of their cards tends to go higher than I'm willing to pay. I think I paid a decent chunk of change for this mountain as well, probably somewhere in that $5 to $10 range, which is again on the very pricey side of a land. But I have some cool new cards coming in the mail that, again, a lot of them are coming from out of the country, so it's going to take a few weeks for them to get here. And I'll show those to you guys when they do, but I am looking to pick up more pieces from Revelin's Light as soon as I see some cards that are really worth going after, that I specifically need for my decks. And this mountain was altered by me. I took acetone and scraped off the ink from a foil mountain. It is pretty easy to do this. I have another one of these somewhere that I didn't dig out before I set up the cards for the video, but I used a quarter. I used a quarter right here on the other card, which gave it a nice circle around the logo, and it actually fits super well. The only problem is, again, you have to be careful not to scratch the foiling too much, having the quarter on there. I tried taping it on there, and that worked out mediocre. There's probably a better way to do it, but this is something you guys can definitely do on your own. It's not that hard. Interesting to note that they changed the way that they print foils, and this works better on newer lands. Lands that are maybe more than 10 years old, it is very difficult to rub the ink off of the foil ones. So just something to keep in mind. You can check out some other videos. I'm sure people have posted how to do this on other channels, so you guys can go search that up. Moving on, we have this Ghostly Prison that I picked up very recently, and this was done by an eBay user named Postal Poetic. I paid about $10 for this Ghostly Prison. Definitely a cool pickup, commander staple, so I figured this is always worth having around. This one in particular, it's difficult to tell, but it is a hand-painted altar. But they did a great job with color matching, everything looks great on it. Definitely super excited about this one. So next up we have the Savannah. The Savannah is actually a proxy. I just looked through my eBay purchase history, and I couldn't actually find where I purchased this from. But I know I didn't pay much for it, so I thought it'd be cool to have a Savannah proxy on hand for only a couple dollars. This is not hand-painted. This card, it looks like they just stripped the ink off of another Magic card and then printed the Savannah on it. But still a cool pickup for just a couple dollars. If I ever build a green-white deck, it's good to have on hand. Next up we have this Enlightened Tutor. I bought this in early 2016. It was one of the first altars that I ever picked up, and I got a pretty good deal on this. It was about 12 bucks at the time, which was actually before they had released Eternal Masters, before the reprint of Enlightened Tutor. At the time, Enlightened Tutor was about 18 bucks. Picking up an altar for 12 at the time was a pretty good deal, and it looks really good, so I keep it in my Aurelia deck, and it's a cool card. Been super happy with it. So next up we have these two dual land altars. We have a Twilight Mire and a Nimbus Maze. These were both done by the same artist, Glendora Altars, who is a pretty active eBay store and is always putting up items for sale. The Twilight Mire I paid a pretty penny for. I think that was around $30, and I picked that up a couple months ago. This Nimbus Maze I just got in the other day, and I only paid $8 for this, so that's not bad. Pretty good pickup. So if you compare Glendora's work to some of the other artists, she uses a broader brushstroke, and it has a little bit of a different aesthetic than some of the really fine brushstroke artists. And it gives her work a unique feel to it, to the point where when I'm actually searching through eBay stuff, when I see one of her cards, I'll recognize it more readily just because it looks a little bit different than some of the other alters that are out there. So she definitely has some stylistic differences in the way that she goes about altering a card than some of the other artists get. But definitely a cool pickup on these two. As a side note, I had a foil Nimbus maze that I traded in like 2011, and I don't know, I got a few dollars out of it, maybe like $8 or something. One, foil Nimbus maze looks awesome, and two, now from the last time I checked, I think they're pretty expensive, so I got hosed on that deal. Definitely a feel bad there, so this Nimbus maze is definitely refilling a little bit of a void that I had just from having that foil Nimbus maze floating around that I kind of wish I held on to. Next up, we have this Diabolic Vision. I paid a few dollars for this, and I thought it was a cool pickup. I really like the way that they extended the image on this particular card. While it's not the most commonly played card in Commander, I can definitely find a home for it in something like Dakin Blackblade or Solkanar the Swamp King, which are two decks that I'm looking to build at some point. So I definitely thought it was a very cool altar. And this one was done by Gelb Zero. It's the only item I picked up from them. I haven't seen too much of their other stuff, but this one definitely looked cool, so I'm happy with this pickup. And then finally we have City of Brass and Day of Judgment. Both of these were done by an eBay user named Peewee98. I paid a few dollars for each of these, so no big deal on that. I do run the Day of Judgment in my Aurelia deck. I don't run Wrath of God, even though Wrath of God is strictly better, but I have yet to run into a situation where the Regenerate has mattered. So I think this Day of Judgment looks awesome, so I just run that in its place because it's totally cool. City of Brass, on the other hand, was originally going to be from my Aurelia deck, but I actually cut City of Brass from Aurelia altogether just because it's a two-color deck and I have enough mana fixing now that I don't really need to paint myself off of City of Brass. But I do have a Tariel the Reckoner deck that the City of Brass has found a home in. And again, for just a few dollars pickup, I thought that this thing was totally cool. I like the way that they have the broken border on the card and the way the image kind of spills into it. For not too much money, I definitely thought it was totally awesome, so really cool pickup. Been really happy with both of these. Anyway, so that's going to conclude this video for today. I do have a bunch of really cool altars that are in the mail right now, and again, they're coming from out of the country, so it will take them a few weeks to get here and get through customs. And I'll make a new video when those come through, because there's some that I'm really excited about, and really excited to show you guys. So I'll definitely post another video like that once those cards arrive. Otherwise, I'm going to put a link below to some of my favorite altar artists that have done some of these cards, so you guys can feel free to check out their eBay stores. And if you guys are like me and hate having money in your bank account, you should totally pick up some stuff from them. And if you like this video, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.